welcome back to the SportsMax Zone. The final match day of the UEFA Champions League group stage ended today. In one of the early matches, champions Real Madrid hosted Celtic at the Bernabeu. We have the highlights.
The referee is ready. It's Real Madrid who get us underway, kicking from left to right. Asensio. And it's a good ball. We got there, Rodrigo. Now that might be handball. Moritz Jens has handled it. And it's a penalty to Real Madrid inside the first 5 minutes of the game. Facing Joe Hart. And scoring for Real Madrid. Modric. And here's danger. Asensio square. Good save by Joe Hart to deny Vinicius Junior. Now Rodrigo. Claiming handball again, Real Madrid. Penalty kick to Real Madrid again. And he does. Moritz Jens here is dispossessed, and Asensio has Rodrigo inside. And here is Rodrigo. Modric and Vinicius Junior in the middle. Rodrigo brilliantly done. Oh, and he's missed it. Militao under pressure, and it's given away, and Maeda sets up the chance for Furuhashi, good save by Courtois. O'Reilly's curling ball in. Ede Militao with half a clearance. Hatate here has a shot. Courtois again. Good save. Getting away from Maeda, good hit. Good little burst to the byline. Oh, now is that a penalty? It is. Ferland Mendy. Saved by Courtois. Valverde, Carvajal sliding. Oh, and a super finish. Marco Asensio makes it 3-0 for Real Madrid. Valverde, well blocked by Jens. You feel another goal's in the offing pretty soon. Real Madrid are just upping the tempo at the moment. Valverde with the cross, and there it is. Tucked in by Vinicius Junior. Marco Asensio looking for the return ball from Lucas Vazquez. Instead it goes to, a fifth goal, Federico Valverde. Beautifully done. Here's Jota again. Giacomakis and Haksabanovic are forward. Jota saw a little gap and is tripped right on the edge of the penalty area. It's going to be Jota. Oh, it's excellent. It's a great goal by Jota. One added minute, and actually I think the referee, Stephanie Frappart, has stopped the game. And Real Madrid have won the group.
So Real Madrid, as the commentator saying, winning the group, 13 points. Leipzig finishing second with 12. Shakhtar will play UEFA Europa League next year from February. And Celtic, they put 2 points on the board. And yeah, it was a tough slog for Ange Postecoglou's men, conceding 15 goals in the 6 games they played in Group F. We're turning for perspective on the day's game, not necessarily that game, with the TNT international Brent Sancho. Brent, welcome to the program.
Hey guys, how's everything?
We're good here. May I just get right into it? The Real Madrid game was of really academic interest. So let's talk about the games that really mattered today, because I thought that your team, Juventus, put on a very good performance despite falling to PSG 2-1. They missed a load of chances, a bucket load of chances. Well, they had opportunities to score and they didn't really take them. That's what undermined them. But I'm suggesting to you, Brent, that in the whole of the group stage of the Champions League, this for me is perhaps the most dangerous that Juventus have looked over 90 minutes.
Yeah, it's easily the best game that they've put forward so far in the Champions League, but it has to be underlined by the fact that a lot of it was fueled by young players and not the star power that Juventus would have brought in, and players that have unknown and of course have come into the side because of the injury crisis at Juventus. So you have to give them compliment in that sense that the young players have done the business. The problem for Juventus is the more experienced players the players, of course, that are labeled as superstars just haven't done the business of Juventus, and hence the reason they will be playing Europa League football next, next January.
Yeah, and as far as the young players are concerned, what was most pleasing about how they went about the task today?
I think they showed no fear, and for me, that was a good sign. They took the game to PSG. They played higher up the park. They pressed higher up the park, which I was a bit surprised to see that. I thought they would have sat back a bit, but give them credit. They played high up the park, and they showed a lot of quality in areas. Of course, you would have liked to see, some of those opportunities, as you mentioned at the top of the program, ending up in the back of the net. But again, I think you can't complain if you're a Juventus fan. So what you've seen, and again, a little cherry on top of the cake, of course, Chiesa making his appearance after a long layoff due to injury.
Yeah, would you as a Juventus fan complain about the quality of the goals scored against you, the Mbappe goal and then the Nuno Mendes goal? We're going to show them back to you. I thought that these are just two outstanding goals. I mean, players are faster than players, and Nuno Mendes was running at such a rapid rate. We know Cuadrado is quick, but Cuadrado couldn't live with him for the second goal. And the Kylian Mbappe shot was a precision strike from one of the world's top strikers.
Yeah, I think for me, on both occasions, individual errors, maybe if I am being extremely critical from the defenders, I think from a Cuadrado perspective, he is quick, and I think he thought he could rely on his quickness, but he met a man that was quicker than him. And I think because of that, his positioning was a bit off. He was a bit too close to him, which allowed that gap in space. But you're right, you have to give credit. I mean, that sort of pace that Mendes, turn of pace that Mendes showed, I don't think many could have lived with him. Many right backs could live with him.
And the Mbappe strike for the first goal?
Excellent turn by Mbappe, eventually getting onto his right foot. That finish, I don't think there's much chesting he can do. As we can see there, coming in there, that's just a class finish. Kissing it off the post and into the back of the net. Using, of course, the surface to make sure the ball picks up a bit of pace and gets into the goal. Quality finish. And if we have to be honest, it's probably the two chances that PSG would have had. You can't really think of anything that they had going forward outside of that. But that's why they're a top team, and that's why probably they're one of the favourites, of course, to win the Champions League.
You're saying that, and I was telling Lance in the office that I don't fancy PSG against any quality team because I see too many gaps, too many holes in the team. That's it. Let's look at how the group finished, though. The group with PSG and Juventus and Benfica and Maccabi Haifa, Group H. It ended up with the winners being PSG. Benfica finishing second in the group despite beating Maccabi Haifa. There we go. Thank you. 14 points, Benfica and PSG. Juventus finishing third, and Maccabi Haifa with only 3 points for that win against Juventus earlier in the group stage.
Yeah, I'm going to talk about Manchester City, although George thinks that it's very insignificant and he may have a discussion with me after. But what did you make of Manchester City's second half performance?
Quality, and their quality shone through, and that's the reason why they won the game. When you look at Manchester City and what they have at their disposal in terms of talent, in terms of ability, we've never questioned that. But do they have what it takes to win the Champions League? Because anything other than winning the Champions League would be considered a disaster for Manchester City, especially with the form that Haaland is in. I've said this many times on this program. I do believe that the World Cup falling at the time that it is may have an impact on some of the bigger teams, whether or not some of the stars come back shining in the way that they shone maybe throughout the World Cup or before that. And that would be critical for the likes of City, PSG, Bayern Munich, Real Madrid, and all the other favourites that are considered the ones with the opportunity to win the Champions League.
Right, and Brent, very unfortunate, Ben Chilwell picking up an injury against that 2-1 win over Dinamo Zagreb. A big hit or miss for Chelsea.
Big miss for Chelsea, of course. Reece James as well on the medical table for Chelsea. Also from an England perspective, it is a bit of a kick as well. And for most managers, most international managers, this is where they're probably holding up their Hail Marys, their rosary beads, and making all sorts of prayers, because this is crunch time. And any player, whether it be hamstring, whether it be ankles, muscle injuries, you would have to figure that they may not be eligible or may not be fit in time to play in the World Cup. So yeah, It's a tough time for a lot of international managers, and I'm sure they all will be watching every single game quite closely.
All right, Brent, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we continue talking about the best of the action from the Champions League.